I need to show you something that's a little uncomfortable. 5 years ago, if you wanted professional marketing copy, you hired a copywriter. If you wanted custom artwork, you hired a designer. If you wanted research, you hired an analyst. If you wanted meeting notes, you hired an assistant. If you wanted training videos, you hired a production team. Today, one person with the right AI tools can do all of those jobs from a laptop. Now, before anyone gets angry in the comments, let's be clear. I'm not saying these professions are disappearing tomorrow, but I am saying something has changed. The amount of output a single person can produce has exploded. And companies are noticing. The tools in this video aren't just helping people work faster. They're compressing entire workflows that used to require specialists. And if you think this is just another tech trend, I think you're underestimating what's happening. Because software used to help people do work, these tools are starting to help people replace workflows. That's a completely different category of change. Let's start with number 5, because this is the tool quietly becoming a secret weapon for researchers, consultants, and analysts. Nabiinti Sampias. December 5. Claude. Most people think AI's biggest use case is writing. I think that's completely wrong. Writing is useful. Thinking faster is transformative. That's where Claude comes in. If your job involves reading, analyzing, researching, summarizing, or making sense of large amounts of information, Claude is one of the most powerful tools available today. Imagine receiving a 150-page industry report. Most people wouldn't read it. Some people would skim it. Claude can analyze it in minutes, ask for key insights, ask for major risks, ask for competitor weaknesses, ask for emerging trends, ask for investment opportunities. Now here's a real-world scenario. Imagine you're a consultant preparing for a client meeting tomorrow morning. You receive 3 market reports totaling hundreds of pages. A few years ago, you'd spend your evening reading. Today, you can upload the reports, ask Claude to compare them, identify contradictions, highlight opportunities, and generate a briefing document. What used to take half a day can often be done in less than an hour. And that's the shift. The value isn't just speed, it's leverage. Instead of spending your time extracting information, you spend your time making decisions. The free version is excellent. The paid version becomes incredibly valuable if research is part of your profession. But as powerful as Claude is, it's still working with information. The next tool creates something entirely different, visuals, and it's forcing businesses to rethink design itself. For before, Midjourney. Let's do a thought experiment. Imagine I asked you to create a luxury watch advertisement. 5 years ago, you'd need a designer, photography, art direction, editing software, multiple revisions, and probably a few days of work. Today, you can generate dozens of concepts before your coffee gets cold. That's the world Midjourney helped create. Now let's be clear. Midjourney isn't replacing great designers. Great designers still understand branding, psychology, storytelling, and visual communication. But it is changing the economics of design. Here's an example. A small e-commerce founder wants to launch a new product. Traditionally, they might spend thousands on product mock-ups and creative concepts. Today, they can generate 50 campaign ideas in an afternoon. Not because AI is more creative, because AI removes the cost of experimentation. And that's the real disruption. The companies that win often aren't the ones with the best first idea. They're the ones that can test the most ideas. Midjourney dramatically increases that capacity. And surprisingly, Midjourney isn't the tool making managers nervous. The next one is because businesses spend far more time in meetings than creating advertisements. Vambri Fundis. 3. Fireflies. Let's be honest, most meetings suffer from the same problem. Nobody remembers everything. Action items get missed, important details disappear. And someone always ends up taking notes instead of paying attention. Fireflies solves that problem. It joins meetings, records conversations, creates transcripts, builds summaries, extracts action items, and makes everything searchable. But here's where it gets interesting. A startup founder recently described Fireflies as the first AI tool that genuinely felt like hiring an assistant. Think about a busy week. Sales calls, team meetings, client updates, strategy discussions. By Friday, dozens of important decisions have been made. Without a system, many of those details disappear. With Fireflies, every conversation becomes searchable. Need to remember a pricing decision from 3 weeks ago? Search it. Need to find an action item from last month? Search it. Need to know who committed to what? Search it. This isn't just productivity, it's organizational memory, and organizational memory is surprisingly valuable. Quick reality check. We've covered research, design, and meeting management. 3 areas that used to require dedicated specialists. And we're only halfway through. The next 2 tools are impacting industries worth billions of dollars, and they're doing it faster than most experts predicted. Chapter 2. Synthesia. There was a time when creating professional video content required a lot of moving parts. Cameras, lighting, microphones, studios, talent, editing, scheduling, revisions. Today, you can create a presenter with AI. That's what makes Synthesia so fascinating. You write a script, choose an avatar, generate a video, and in many cases, the result is good enough for business use. Training, onboarding, internal communication, product demonstrations, educational content. Here's a scenario. Imagine a company with employees in 10 different countries. They need compliance training delivered in multiple languages. Traditionally, that means filming, editing, translating, and producing multiple versions. With Synthesia, the entire process can be completed dramatically faster. Need a script update? Change the text. Need another language? Generate it. Need a regional version? Generate it. Again, this isn't about replacing every video producer. It's about reducing the cost and complexity of business communication. And that's why companies are paying attention. But even Synthesia isn't affecting as many businesses as our #1 tool, because this next category touches almost every organization on Earth. Number 1. Copy AI. If you've ever run a business, you know one thing. Everything requires writing, emails, advertisements, sales pages, landing pages, product descriptions, social media posts, newsletters, marketing campaigns. The demand never stops. That's why tools like Copy AI have become so powerful. But here's what most people misunderstand. The goal isn't replacing marketers. The goal is eliminating blank pages. Imagine you're managing marketing for a growing company. You need 3 email campaigns, 5 ad variations, a landing page, social media content, and product descriptions. Traditionally, that workload could consume days. With Copy AI, the first drafts appear in minutes. Now the marketer isn't spending hours generating ideas. They're evaluating, refining, and improving them. That's a very different workflow. And that's the pattern we're seeing across industries. The role isn't disappearing. The role is evolving. The people who learn to use these tools become dramatically more productive. And productivity compounds. A marketer who can launch 10 campaigns instead of 2 becomes more valuable. Not less. That's the part many people miss. Let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't really a video about 5 AI tools. It's a video about leverage. Claude gives one person the research capacity of a small analyst team. Midjourney gives one person the creative output of a design department. Fireflies gives one person the organizational memory of an assistant. Synthesia gives one person the ability to create professional video content at scale. And Copy AI gives one person the content production capacity of an entire marketing team. That's the pattern. Different tools, different professions, same outcome. One person can now accomplish what previously required multiple specialists. And that changes everything. The biggest mistake people are making right now is assuming AI is just another software trend. It's not. Software helps you do work. These tools are starting to help you replace workflows. That's a completely different category of change. 5 years from now, I don't think the biggest advantage will belong to the smartest people. I think it will belong to the people who learned how to combine human judgment with AI leverage. Because while everyone else is competing with effort, they'll be competing with systems. So here's my question. If you could only keep one tool from this list, which one would it be? Claude, Midjourney, Fireflies, Synthesia, or Copy AI? Tell me in the comments. And if you think these tools are powerful, the next video is where things get genuinely crazy. Because these tools still require you to do most of the work. The next ones start doing the work for you. I'll see you in the next video.